Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathashala. I'm Dr. K.R. Rammohan, Associate Professor, Head Department of Anthropology, Sikkim University. Today we are going to talk a module on the Constitution and the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes. This module comes from the paper Indian Anthropology. So before we go this module, let us see what are the learning outcomes. The student will come to know about the people of India, its unity amidst diversity, how castes and tribes are different. The learner will also able to grasp the various articles in the Indian Constitution pertaining to the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, and what are the constitutional safeguards to protect the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. If we look at the whole composition of both scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, with this 1.21 billion people in India, around 72% of total population lives in rural areas. In almost 6,38,000 villages spread across all the nook and corner of Indian society, and almost 28% lives in 5,000 towns, and the rest of them live in mostly urban areas, semi-urban areas. All the 1.2 million people in India are bound together with various ethnic identities, multicultures, different caste groups, different languages, and people follow different religious faiths. Let us see the division of people, what the Constitution of India has categorized according to their social backgrounds. That people form under upper caste group, some communities fall under the other backward classes or OBC communities, and the erstwhile untouchables, people who have come from the lower rung social life, are considered to be the scheduled castes, and the communities which practice distinct social, cultural, economic features are the scheduled tribes. So who are these scheduled castes? So scheduled castes can be understood as the depressed classes, which has been categorized by the British rulers, and they have been suppressed or victimized by the other caste groups for centuries. They are also known as untouchables because of they do the perceived notions of polluting occupants. In Article 341, these castes are put under as scheduled castes. But nowadays, if you look at these scheduled caste groups, they assert themselves as Dalits. Scheduled castes basically fall under the Hindu social organization. They are basically Hindus because Hindus follow the concept of purity and pollution. Because of this purity and pollution, some caste groups are put under the pure castes, some castes are put under the pollutant castes. So Dalits are being spread over across India in various states, and we look at the communities as scheduled tribes because of their traits, their dialects, because of their religion, because of their economy. The scheduled tribes are also being put under the Article 342 as distinct social group, and these people assert themselves and called as popularly called Adivasis. And how do we identify scheduled tribe? Because of their primitiveness of economy, their backward development, they are not in a position to come in contact with the other communities, their geographical isolation, their distinct dialects and distinct economy made them as communities which can be called as scheduled tribes. And scheduled tribes are spread across all over India except in 1 or 2 states. You can find their presence in almost all states, right from northeastern India to southern, western or eastern India. So, having understood the social composition that Indian society has upper castes, backward castes, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, how does the constitution see these various groups? So the constitution has extended some benefits to these deprived groups, where 22.5% of reservation should be goes to in jobs, in educational opportunities, in the assembly, in the parliament seats. So together if we put 16% of scheduled castes and 7.5% of scheduled tribes gives together 22.5% of reservation allotted to these SCs and STs. So let us see what are the constitutional safeguards for both scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So some social privileges are given in terms of Article 17, Article 23, Article 24 and Article 254. The educational opportunities are given in Article 15, Article 29 and Article 350. Also given the job opportunities in various articles, political opportunities in various articles are enshrined in the Indian Constitution. Now coming to the social safeguards, Article 17 clearly states that untouchability should be abolished. It is a crime. You will be punished. And it is considered as a practice of punishable offense. It also says that the Protection of Civil Rights Act in 1955. So the SCs and STs has gained the special attention of the Prevention of Atrocities Act in 1989. So let us see another constitutional safeguard for these groups. Article 23 clearly states that it prohibits illegal trafficking of human beings. They force them into become as beggars, bonded laborers, forced laborers. And this Act of 1976 clearly states that if anyone is indulging in this, will be severely punished. Article 23 further explains that the existence of centrally sponsored schemes for identifying and liberating these bonded laborers and put them in more rehabilitation process to come back to their own original form. Another constitutional safeguard, which clearly spelled out in Article 24, states that no child left behind below 14 years. And this child who are in age of 14 years should not be employed in anywhere, in any form, be it factories, mines, small scale businesses or even hazardous environment. Children should not be exposed. If anyone puts these children in these forms of labor, they are severely punished. This article also says that the significant substantial portion of SC/ST children, if they are employed in this hazardous environment, they will be taken very seriously. And another constitutional safeguard in Article 252 says that Hindu religious institutions should be open to all classes and sections of Hindu population. So there should be no denial in the temple entry. people should enter freely into any kind of Hindu based temples and organizations. Additionally, this provision is relevant as there are some scheduled castes who are denied the right to enter into some temples and religious places. So this gives a guarantee by the Indian Constitution to enter into a temple freely and he can practice Hinduism. One cannot debar from the temple entry. Now let us also see what are the economic safeguards which are targeted for this SC/ST population. Article 46 says that state shall promote the educational and the economic interests of SCs/STs under the weaker sections of the society, because these people are considered as weaker sections. Additionally, the state shall also protect the weaker sections from all forms of discrimination and social injustice. And Article 242 clearly states that according to Clause 1, the provision of 5th schedule shall apply to all the administrative and control of scheduled areas and any scheduled tribes in any state except Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. According to Clause 2 of Article 242 says that the provisions of 6th schedule shall apply to administration of tribal areas in the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. Another safeguard which has been spelled out in Article 275, Clause 1 says that the Consolidated Fund of India as a grant in 8.2 meet expenditures for the development of purpose of promoting the welfare of scheduled tribes in the state's administration in scheduled areas. And this should be undertaken by the individual states for the welfare and betterment of scheduled tribes. Now let us see what are the educational and cultural safeguards which promotes educational opportunities for these deprived classes. Article 15 says that, and it shall empowers the state make any provisions for the advancement of any socially and educationally backward classes or for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in particular, meaning there should be no discrimination or no one should stop them. And the provision has enabled the state to reserve seats for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in all the educational institutions from primary level to higher level. Article 29 Clause 1 says that any section of the citizens of India or any part of thereof having distinct language, script or culture on its own have the right to converse in the same. One can speak any language, one can write in any script, one can practice any culture. Article 29 guarantees that. Additionally, this article has also special significance for scheduled tribes who have their own distinct culture and traditions. To safeguard this, to preserve this article is very helpful. And Article 350 empowers the state's local authority within the state to provide adequate facilities and infrastructure and instructions for the use of mother tongue in the primary stage of education. Because many scheduled tribes have their own dialects and these people are considered as linguistic minorities. So one should not be prevented from their own mother tongue, and mother tongue should be given importance in the instruction at the basic primary, let's say the first and second classes. Then the child gets used to this instruction. Perhaps it can be modified into later stages of schooling. As most of the tribal communication have their own languages and dialects, different states must promote along with the official language. Let us see what are the political safeguards for this scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So various articles including 330, 332 provides that the states of Bihar, MP, Orissa, there should be a minister of a tribal welfare to look after the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. And specifically 332 states that there should be some reservation both in the local and assemblies. There should be fair representation with them. Along with 371, 371B, 371C, 371F, 371G, these give a special provision with respect to these states. And additionally, there should be a stipulated 10 years of extending these benefits to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. With regard to the employment and service, Constitution guarantees and safeguards that Article 16 says that it empowers the states to make any provision for the reservation of appointment or posts in favor of any citizens which is deemed unrepresented in the services in the state. Article 16 further clarifies that provision for reservation in the matters of promotion to any class or classes in the posts and the services which in favor of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Additionally, Article 335 states that the claims of members of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes shall be taken into consideration with the maintained efficiency of administration and making appropriate appointments in service and other posts, either in the union or in the state governments. And Article 32, Clause 4 says that in consultation with the Union Public Service Commission, with the State Public Service Commission, that may be made in a manner which affect to given the provisions of Article 335. While understanding these various constitutional safeguards and constitutional provisions extended to the empowerment of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in particular, gives us insights into both the historical process and the current welfare schemes targeted to these deprived population. Now, why the Constitution has created the affirmative action policies? The affirmative action policies come into existence in the post-independent India informs us that these groups, both scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, have their own set of issues. Scheduled castes in particular have been suffered, have been victimized, have been discriminated, have been socially excluded in all spheres of life. And there was an inhuman practice meted out against them since ages, the concept of or the practice of untouchability. With this practice of untouchability, scheduled caste population has remained as a population where they could not come out of their own social group. They remained as a bonded labor. They remained as slaves for the other caste groups in their own geographical areas. Scheduled caste population has never been attained any kind of development in accessing land, in holding land, in educational opportunities, in employment opportunities. There was no representation in the political sphere, both in the state and in the central governments. There were denied opportunities at each and every level. On the other hand, scheduled tribes did not face any caste discrimination. They had their own set of issues which put them in the least developed index. Since the scheduled tribes were geographically isolated, since the scheduled tribes were numerically small, because of their distinctive characteristic feature that their very shy tendency towards come to the mainframe, they remained isolated for a longer period of time. So the constitutional thinkers, the social reformers like Dr. Ambedkar, Gandhi, Nehru, and many more have put forward their ideas that these deprived classes should be empowered and they should be given some kind of an assistance from the state so that there could be some sort of development comes from within and they can slowly catch with the other communities in India. Hence, there was a need for affirmative action policies to bring at least some kind of a change in the socio-economic status of these communities. With this idea, the government of India has put forward many welfare schemes, and most of the rights are being enshrined in the Constitution of India, where it guarantees and gives right to and makes autonomous in being unique on their own. By giving autonomy, it also extends certain reservations so that there could be some representation in educational front, in the employment aspects, in the political aspects, abolishing the untouchability practice, giving a dignity and right to practice religion. There shall be no discrimination, particularly if they come under the fold of Hindu religion. And the Constitution come forward with various articles by extending support and creating reservations for these two distinct classes. One side you have scheduled castes, one side you have scheduled tribes, so that there should be some kind of a social change, social mobility for these two groups to come little close with the other backward classes and the upper castes in India. And initially it was framed that these reservations should be given for at least 10 years and see how best they can be transformed. And it is these reservations are in place since post-India. And some communities could take advantage of these affirmative action policies and could change their socio-economic status. to come into the main fold of Indian mainstream, be it educational, be it occupational. So today we can see there was some change among scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. With these directive principles given by the Constitution and provisions, welfare measures extended to these two sections in particular, have brought some form of a change in many parts of India. Though the caste identities are still remaining, but the aim of the government is to reduce these social inequalities, to reduce discrimination, to mitigate the social exclusion process which have been in place since centuries. In this process, both scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, taking the help of these policies and programs and rights given to them, could benefit and change their social status, in particular economic status, in getting integrated to Indian society along with the other non-scheduled castes and non-scheduled tribes. So the vision of this constitution is to bring that all citizens are equal, no matter what ethnic background they come from, which is the fundamental principle of Indian Constitution. That no citizen should be denied any kind of an opportunity. No citizen should be discriminated on any grounds, be it on the caste or tribal ethnicity or a geographical place, or a particular religion is being practiced or a particular language is being done. So everyone has this fundamental right to be equal, to live with dignity. That is the spirit of the Indian Constitution. No one is superior, no one is inferior. Being considered that this backwardness, the pioneers in framing this framework wanted to bring all citizens and make it a more egalitarian society.